Francesca Albanese was in Dublin. She is the UN Special Rapporteur on the Palestinian issue, basically. But she was quite critical of the Irish approach to it, Gavin.
Yeah,
that was quite interesting because you don't actually often hear people from an international point of view be critical of how Ireland has handled matters.
And it's a kind of in a way, it was a very interesting reorientation of things, because you learn to. Sometimes you both sides these things, particularly in the media, where you're always obliged to give some platform to the opposing view and to Israel's defence for why it's doing what it's doing. But Francesca Albanese gave a press conference, among many other things, last week, and I was at the press conference, and it was a very striking. It's an unfortunate term, but a call to arms almost as to why we've allowed certain things to be normalised. Like you mentioned, as one example, you mentioned a few minutes ago the designation of the area in which the film director was put into captivity as a live training area. Well, why does Israel have the authority to decide that that's a live training area? That's not Israel's territory. That's the territory of another people's, a territory that Ireland views as being another state entirely. So why have we normalised that's happened? That we've become very normalised, that we've normalised the idea that nobody can get into Gaza because Israel controls most of the entry points. Why have we, normalised that to be the case? Most Gazan people in peacetime, much as there ever is peacetime in Gaza, you can't leave, you can't get a passport. You have to get a travel document that's sanctioned by Israel. Why is that? And her general point to Irish media, and I know there was a few other instances that she had with RT in particular, where arguments were put to her that she just disagreed with the premise of. But her overall thrust was, why have you allowed this to become normal, and why aren't you calling it out all the time? Interestingly, one point she did make was that the Occupied Territories Bill, which is yet another thing which is held up by the Dáil-speaking impasse that we mentioned earlier, she says that actually Ireland and every other country is obliged to basically do what that bill requires anyway, irrespective of whether it's stipulated in your law or not. Because international law says these settlements are illegal, and basically anything that you do to interact with them or validate them, if there's a university there that you've got a research project with, anything you do to legitimise that is against international law.